Hello and welcome to Opinions Plus. I just heard a short interview with Caroline Giuliani, daughter of Giuliani, the former mayor of New York during 9/11. Great reputation, debunked conspiracy guy now, lost his law license, 80 whatever years old, and on going on down the tubes and selling whatever the hell he wants on a podcast, and in no way, and found liable for defamation, and he liable for many other things which he wasn't prosecuted for. But that's the way it is. But Caroline Giuliani uh, is a very stable, intelligent person, according to the little bit of interview that I saw, comparing to what I hear from people like her father. The interviewer asked her, numerous questions. Do you love your father? Do you still talk to your father? What's your concerns? Your current evaluation of what, did Trump get your father into it, or did, this was a conscious choice by your father and all that shtick? Well, one of the things that she said that caught my attention was she wants to have children in the future. Apparently, she's just recently engaged, and hopefully things will go well. And but she's afraid because of many things. But one is the climate. What's going to happen with the climate? And it brought me to an understanding that there are many people who are afraid of individual issues, such as climate, such as politics, such as all these things. Violence, this constant rhetoric from the Republicans of how women can't walk, especially women. It's who cares if the husband gets mugged, but the woman can't get mugged. I'm going to protect the woman, because I want your vote, vote, vote. It's just, well, just the way people garner votes and empathy, and it reaches a level of why people vote. But her fear of the weather, of the future, the environment, that would stop her from having children. And she looked fairly affluent. I don't know what her financial status is, but the apartment she was in was nicely appointed, dressed well, that kind of thing. But what is she afraid of? That's the thing. She said that, Trump's influence has been horrible. But she also said that everybody has to be responsible for their own actions, including her father. Because this interviewer wanted to know if there was some mystical power that, not in those words, but, that changed the mayor of New York, the 9/11 mayor of New York, into a, complete buffoon. And, and I don't mean the word buffoon as an intellectual stab, but a social buffoon, willing to ignore all the horrors and controls and sorrows that people like him and people like his partner there and Trump would incite. And you don't know what the conversations are. You don't know what's going on in their heads. People do weird things no matter what social class they're in. But her fears, Caroline's fears, are real to many people. And again, it doesn't mean that it's just environmental fear or political upheaval or whatever it is. It's the fear. It's the just that sense in you that it's not the right time. She didn't look paranoid or didn't speak in any kind of outlandish way. She spoke as a reasonable person who had concerns. She sees the glaciers melting. She knows what the storms and hears the data from people, scientists, which, again, counters the stupidity that, this person who her father aligns with said, well, the oceans are only going to rise an eighth of an inch in 400 years. Like he doesn't know a damn thing about anything, and yet that's what he says. And people believe it. Why? Because he said it. And she's afraid of these kind of social conundrums the country, the world are in. Because it's not just America. People are saying dumb things all over the world. And they get away with it. There's so much out there. So much to be fearful of, afraid of. But you cannot live in fear. You have to have concerns about these things, it's true. You bring your children into a world that you think is reasonable. If you were in a war zone and bombs are falling all over the place, would you conceive in that situation? Possibly, because you say, well, it's not going to end, and if I survive, I'll have a child. Then there's the desires within all human beings, all these things that go into it. But she doesn't want to because of the environment. That's the only thing she said now. There's many other things in her life, I'm sure. But in that immediate war zone, bombs coming down and all that stuff, you wouldn't want. You just, because of the immediate threats surrounding you, you just don't say, okay, let's have a child. And there's no hope of anything better, just ruination and sorrow and starvation. If you have an option to make a decision like that. Some women don't. But Miss Giuliani would, and still does. But she shouldn't make her decision in this kind of environment based on fear. Base it on love, base it on desire to make the world better, to bring up a child, to support an idea of goodness and quality. All is important because you can't tell what's going to happen tomorrow. The world can change quite dramatically in a day. And, for example, volcanoes could come up, and we have enough of them, but I mean big ones, cause all kinds of problems. Did the clip on the nuclear threat, all kinds of threats out there. But the odds of it happening are not great. It hasn't happened for 100,000 years, maybe it won't happen. Maybe it will. Maybe an asteroid will come down and hit the Earth. You don't look at that. Don't look at those issues. Look at what you have, what you can give, and add an additional soul to the world that's going to benefit the world in your mind. You don't know the future. You don't know what influences are going to be engaged in the child's life and all that. You don't have a clue. But you can give all you have to making this world better, not only by promoting your own self and improving yourself, educating yourself, going to the good, as I always say, pointing yourself in that direction, trying if not achieving. But don't be afraid. If you have the resources, if you have the love, have the child. Don't be afraid of the future. Some women cannot have children. That's just the way it is. Some women can. And, there's studies and all types of these things across the world, but it's all comes down to people who care. Bring yourself, your heart into this world to make it a better world. And, Caroline Giuliani, don't be afraid of that. You won't be able to know, you won't be able to concern yourself, but if there's an immediate threat, obviously you may change your mind about having a child. But, whether you adopt a child or conceive a child, whatever you do, you can do it with a good heart, a good spirit. Go to the good. Keep hope alive. That's the only alternative. Don't be afraid of it. Be concerned about the future and do something to change it in the way you think is reasonable and right and fair. But don't be afraid to have a child. Thanks for listening. Take care. Have a good day. If you like what you hear, subscribe. And come on, comment.